We've been told for years that if you feed your dog well and love them enough, they'll always adore you back. But that isn't how dogs work. Dogs can feel overwhelmed, stressed, or uncertain, even in homes filled with good intentions. Some of the things people do to show love actually create distance without them ever realizing it. And the more we rely on old advice, the easier it becomes to miss what our dogs really need. What you're about to learn challenges a lot of common beliefs about good dog ownership. And that's exactly why it matters. If you're open to understanding your dog on a deeper level, feel free to like the video and subscribe. Chapter 1. The Wrecking Paw. You know that moment when you walk into a room and see something destroyed, and for a split second you wonder if your dog was trying to tell you something? It's easy to blame boredom or energy, but there's a different kind of heaviness in the way dogs go after objects that smell like you. Your shoes, your hoodie, the one cushion you always lean against. Those things carry a kind of emotional weight for them when they're feeling overwhelmed. And sometimes destruction becomes the only outlet they have for feelings they don't know how to express any other way. When your dog is anxious, neglected, or quietly resentful, tearing into pieces of your world can feel oddly comforting to them, even though it leaves you staring at the remains in confusion. It's their way of reaching toward you while also acting out the tension they can't settle inside themselves. And the strange thing is that even scolding can feel better to them than being overlooked, which makes the behavior spiral without either of you understanding why. But when the bond starts to feel stronger, when your dog senses presence, calmness, and respect, the need to destroy things slowly loses its grip. Because underneath all the mess, what they wanted most wasn't punishment or boundaries, it was connection. Chapter 2. The Lick of Love. Have you ever noticed how a dog's lick can feel sweet in the moment, yet leave you wondering what they were really trying to say? For many people, it's easy to assume every lick is a tiny love letter, a simple expression of affection that needs no translation. But when you look a little closer, the gesture starts to feel more complicated. Almost like your dog is trying to smooth over a tension you didn't realize was there. Sometimes that soft, repetitive lick isn't about closeness at all, but about keeping the peace in a way that feels safe to them. Your dog might be acknowledging you as the one who sets the tone, the one they want to appease rather than adore in the way you imagine. And in those moments, the licking becomes less of a kiss and more of a quiet offering, a way to say, "I respect you," or "I'm not a threat." The beautiful part is that real affection grows somewhere else, in the calm moments when neither of you is trying to prove anything. When you slow down, breathe, and let your dog choose the connection, the sweetness that emerges feels different, softer, and somehow more honest. And with less pressure to perform affection, those licks begin to shift into something that comes from comfort rather than obligation. Chapter 3. Snuggle struggles. You reach out to stroke your dog's head, and in the smallest, quietest motion, they dip away, as if your hand suddenly weighs too much. It can sting more than you expect, especially when all you meant was warmth, closeness, a moment of easy affection. But dogs don't experience touch the way we do, and what feels loving to you can feel overwhelming or even threatening to them. A tight hug, a lingering squeeze, or a hand coming down from above can trap them in a feeling they can't quite name. So they slip out of it the only way they know how. When your dog ducks your touch, it doesn't always mean dislike. More often, it's their body trying to protect itself from a kind of closeness that feels too big, too sudden, or simply not chosen. Their comfort lives in subtler places. The gentle strokes along their back, the slow rub at the base of their neck, the hand they're allowed to sniff before it asks for anything more. And when you honor that pace, something shifts between you. They start leaning in instead of leaning away, offering that quiet kind of closeness that feels less like permission and more like trust. Chapter 4. Personal space. Have you ever sat down beside your dog only to feel them subtly slide just out of reach, as if your presence changed the temperature of the room? It's one of those moments you can dismiss if you want to, but deep down it lingers, because you can sense the distance was intentional. Dogs protect their comfort the way we protect a quiet evening, and sometimes your nearness feels louder to them than you realize. When they get up and move to another spot, they're not rejecting you as much as trying to reclaim a little control over their own peace. And strangely, the more space you offer, the more they begin to drift back toward you on their own, curious about the calm you're giving them instead of the closeness you're asking for. Ignoring a dog for a moment can feel counterintuitive, but to them it's a gentle invitation to approach without pressure. Yet when the avoidance becomes a pattern, the averted eyes, the sidestepping, the quiet exits, it hints at something deeper, something unsettled between you. That space they're guarding isn't just physical, it's emotional, and earning your way into it takes patience they can feel, not effort they can sense. Chapter 5. Bone dairies. Most people assume that because dogs wander into our space without hesitation, they don't really care about boundaries. But that idea misses something important. A dog can nudge your hand, lean against your leg, or shove their nose into your morning routine, yet still guard their own vulnerable moments with incredible care. Eating is one of those moments, and when a dog waits for you to leave the room before they touch their food, it isn't rudeness or pickiness, it's self-protection. They're exposing themselves when they lower their head, when their focus narrows, when their body relaxes enough to eat. And if trust feels even a little shaky, they'll choose solitude over shared space. And once you notice how carefully they manage that vulnerability, you begin to see the small ways they draw invisible lines throughout the day. The quiet repositioning, the gentle shift away, the way they settle just out of reach when they're unsure. Those lines aren't rejection, they're a map of where your dog feels safe. With time, patience, and a softness they can sense, those lines start to fade. Not because you cross them, but because your dog finally feels safe inviting you in. Chapter 6. The whale eye. You know that look your dog gives you where the whites of their eyes suddenly appear, almost like they're glancing sideways at danger? It's subtle enough that many people mistake it for something quirky or even cute. But there's nothing playful happening in that moment. That little flash of white is your dog's quiet way of saying they feel pinned, pressured, or unsure about what you're doing. Maybe you leaned in too close, reached toward them too fast, or brought out something they've learned to brace themselves against, and their body reacts before their voice ever would. The whale eye is the warning before the warning, the soft signal they hope you notice so they don't have to escalate into something louder or more desperate. And when you step back, when you soften your movements or give them room to breathe, you can almost feel the tension melt a little as their eyes return to something calmer. It's a small exchange, but it teaches your dog that you listen, even to the signals most people overlook. And once they feel heard in moments like that, the fear behind the glance slowly loses its reason to exist. Chapter 7. Bad to the bone. There's a particular kind of silence that happens when you call your dog and they simply don't come. And it leaves you wondering if they're ignoring you on purpose. It's tempting to laugh it off or assume they're being dramatic. But selective hearing in dogs often comes from a place deeper than stubbornness. When a dog doesn't feel fully secure with you, or doesn't quite see you as someone worth tuning into, they drift into their own little world as a way of keeping control. It feels a lot like when someone talks at you instead of to you, and your mind quietly slips away even if your body stays in the room. Dogs do the same, retreating into distraction because connection doesn't feel steady enough to lean on. But the moment you turn those interactions into something warm, rewarding, and predictable, their attention starts to return in small, hopeful pieces. A gentle "good job," a treat for coming the first time, a simple training game that feels more like play. These moments show them you're not a source of pressure, but a source of clarity. And with each of those tiny wins, the distance between you starts to close. Not because you demanded it, but because your dog finally wants to hear you. By now you've seen how delicate and honest a dog's emotions really are, and how easily they can get tangled up in the ways they try to reach you. And if any of this felt familiar, it only shows how much you've already tried to love them the best way you know how. The real shift happens when you understand that even their difficult behaviors are often rooted in a longing for connection, not defiance. Simply being more present with them can turn small misunderstandings into moments of trust. And when that trust settles in, you start witnessing a different side of your dog, the one that emerges only when they feel safe in the life you've built together. Those gentle habits are easy to miss, but they say everything about how good their world has become. If you're curious to recognize those signs, the next video will feel like opening a door you didn't know was there.